I don't want a relationship with my children f30, m29, even though I feel guilty about it. My ex-husband and I met when I was in high school and he was in college. He proposed to me after 2 weeks because he said that he couldn't live without me, and I believed that that was the most romantic thing I ever heard. He was everything I wanted too. Handsome, kind, and ambitious. Not long after marriage, I got pregnant. When my ex graduated, he started working on his dream. I was there supporting him. I worked almost night and day beside raising the children just to let him only focus on his studies and then business. I remember almost nothing of my 20s and half my 30s, too busy working double shifts and raising my children. His business started prospering and soon I could finally retire. He made 8 figures and everything was just a dream. He had to start over after 2008 and I was there yet again helping him and working to keep us afloat. He prospered again. Until one day, he came to tell me that he was in love with a 25 years old. He said he was finally feeling alive. He could finally enjoy life that he couldn't do when he was in his 20s and 30s and busy raising a family and making business. He wanted me out of the house by the end of the year. That was in 2014. I had just turned 40 and he was 46. Our children were in college and only stayed with us during holidays and summer. I refused, and that's when the abuse started. Mental abuse. Physical abuse. Bullying and calling me ugly, fat, disgusting, and worthless. He stopped giving me any money for the house and he left for weeks on end. My children saw everything. They chose him. They understood him. He was in love and he had worked hard all his life to make their childhood happy and life comfortable. They weren't ungrateful children. Now it was his time to live and they totally understood him. Soon they started joining in on the bullying. I was ugly and embarrassing until my daughter said, "Just leave the man alone. He doesn't want you anymore. Have you no dignity?" I asked for my share, but it seemed a strange concept. He was the one working hard. After Christmas, I found the locks changed and the house sold. 2 years of the most cruel treatment followed until he managed to discard me only with the clothes on my back. I started living in shelters until I found a room and job while he moved to a bigger, more expensive house. Bought bigger and better cars, boats, vacation homes. I tried to have my children to stay in contact with me, but they didn't want me. They had finally realized how manipulative and horrible I have been to their father, and they couldn't forgive me. I met my husband, M51, a few years after my first marriage dissolved. A widower with 3 beautiful daughters, f22, f16, f13. Being with him and the girls, I only understood that I never felt loved my entire life, and the odd thing was that they thought that I was the gift from above. I have never felt so loved, wanted, and appreciated. They're my entire world. I haven't had any contact with my children since 2014. I was keeping track on them from afar for some years, but it just broke me more, so I decided to never try and find out about their lives anymore. I let them go. My ex-husband soon had 2 more children, and from what I heard not long ago, he didn't want anything to do with our children anymore. They were just a burden even when they tried so hard to stay in his life. After COVID, my ex's business was one of those that got affected, and apparently he and his wife were living way beyond their means for years and bankruptcy was a fact. Now I have heard that they live in a small rental with their children and she is working at McDonald's while he is trying to find a new venture. Sorry for the long post. My goal was to make it very short. I married my ex-husband. I helped him become successful. He left me for a newer model when he succeeded and kicked me out without any means or assistance. Alienated my children, and now they want to come back into my life. But once I started writing, every little detail was relevant and I needed to tell it. Now to why I am here. I have been receiving messages from my children through other family members. I have ignored them to the best of my ability. Please no, not now. I have my beautiful life. Not now. I finally stopped waking up every morning with tears in my eyes because I have yet again cried in my dreams. Yesterday, my mother called me and asked me for coffee. When I went there, my daughter and son were there. They both had their children with them. My daughter has 2 and my son has 1. They cried and hugged me and I went rigid like a plank to their touch. They wanted me in their lives. In their children's life. They thought it was odd that I am raising another woman's children while their own children haven't met me. My daughter wanted hers to meet me. Maybe they could visit me and stay with me some days. Because I was the best mom. I gave them the happiest childhood where they felt safest. I guess they only realized that it wasn't daddy's money that gave them the happy childhood. Now it is a loss that my grandchildren couldn't experience that love while strangers do every day. Their dad cut all contact with them right before COVID because he had a new family and now all he and his wife do is call and ask for money. It was never love. I don't think my dad ever loved anybody, my daughter cried. I comforted them, hugged them, and left. This morning I wrote texts to both my children that I didn't want them in my life. I was happy and content, and my daughters are my daughters whether they think that or not. I felt a surge of pain writing this, but I couldn't agree to having them in my life. I love them very deeply. Always will. I can't imagine the pain they felt when they were discarded by the father they idolized. He was always a charmer, and I understand that they were under his spell like many others around him. But they only want me now when he became useless to them. I am useful now. My daughter is a single mom and she wants someone to take care of her children. My son has always been a follower. His wife seemed to be the driving force, and she probably wanted one grandparent who wasn't dysfunctional. But even being aware of all this, of how much my children have suffered and now need me, even with the guilt I am feeling, I don't want a relationship with my children. My daughter texted me, "I understand," and a heart back. If you came this far, thank you, and I am sorry. If you gave up after a few sentences, I understand that too, and I am still grateful you given me the chance to write here.